forecast first on KOLR 10 News, Ozarks First.
Quiet and comfortable outside right now. Radar is completely clear of any rainfall. Temperatures right now cooling through the 70s by morning. Very nice out there as you're getting ready, heading out for work. 65 at 7 o'clock, 75 at 9 o'clock. You can see by noon, we're only looking at temperatures in the low to mid 80s, so this is pretty easy to take compared to what we've seen in weeks past. In fact, it looks like highs tomorrow just shy of 90 degrees, but 90s will return later this week. We're going to hold on to this dry pattern for a little while as well. That's bad news, but the good news is we will trend wetter by this upcoming weekend. I have all the details in your forecast coming up. KOLR 10 News at 10 starts now.
Now, from Ozarks First, you're watching KOLR 10 News at 10.
We honor the 17 lives that were lost. We honor the 14 survivors. And we honor the many heroes who did everything in their power to save lives.
Heavy hearts continue tonight to mourn for the 17 lives lost in last Thursday's duck boat accident on Table Rock Lake. This afternoon, you saw their memorial service was held at College of the Ozarks to try and offer comfort to people's spirits. Our Bria Douglas was there for the service. What did you experience in terms of the mood there, Bria?
David, it was a very somber atmosphere. People are still in shock that this has happened, and the service was simply a way of providing a sense of peace for everyone. In a chapel filled with such elegance, an aura of devastation overwhelmed its beauty.
Our lives were changed forever. July 19th, 2018. Tragedy struck our community in an unimaginable way, and hearts were broken.
Dozens of people gathered for prayer to help mend those hearts.
Lord, in our grief, we turn to you and ask that you grant us peace.
And there were songs to soothe the soul. To offer hope to the victims' grieving family members.
Pray for healing and peace that can only come by your power, not by human intervention.
Even members of the community with no ties to the victims attended.
We don't know anybody personally, but we live close by and we go to Branson all the time. It's a real tragedy for the community, and we wanted to come out and support it.
My heart just goes out to everybody, and I want to show my respect. I don't know how anyone recovers from that.
College of the Ozarks president Dr. Jerry Davis says it's only through the grace of God.
I think one has to rely on one's faith, and there's just a lot of things that we can't answer. And the only one that can answer those questions is the Lord, and we have to put our faith there.
3 days after the Branson tragedy, relying on God was the message on how to endure the pain. In Branson, Bria Douglas, KOLR 10 News, Ozarks First.
It is not just people in the Ozarks remembering now the 17 lives lost last Thursday. People from surrounding states are also mourning the victims. KOLR 10's Francis Lynn went to Ride the Ducks parking lot today and spoke to several people there who made a special trip to Branson.
A lot of people from across the country are stopping by Ride the Ducks here in Branson to put down flowers and toys in loving memory of the people who died in the Table Rock Lake accident.
The whole community cares so tremendously about these families, all of them.
Lisa Riley lived in Branson for the past 4 years and put down a rock from Texas to pay her respects.
They'll probably shut this down, but they won't lose money. And it's not worth the price of all these people's lives, especially the 9 people, the children, all of them. It's very tragic, and the whole community is totally devastated by it.
Maria Snaden is from Kansas City. She and her family were planning on riding the duck boats when they found out about the accident.
And I feel so bad. I feel like I want to talk with the families and give a hug and tell us I got grandbabies too, grandkids, and I know how they feel when they lose somebody in the family, because I already lost families too.
Lehua Robertson from Hawaii also stopped by to offer her condolences.
And we're here to give our respects, and the whole town is here, and we all feel bad for the families. We just want to send our love, our aloha, and blessings to the family.
There was even a church group of around 20 people who traveled to Branson all the way from Texas.
Decided we would make our drive over here, try to be of some help and comfort to those that are grieving at this time.
Pastor John Friesen from the Church of God says they've been here since 10:30 in the morning. They sang songs, read scriptures, provided free water, and spoke to people who stopped by to grieve.
Some have just been parked in their cars or either standing there listening to us singing and expressed that they really appreciate us being here.
The Branson community also left hundreds of personalized messages for the victims of this terrible tragedy. In Branson, Francis Lynn, KOLR 10 News, Ozarks First.
We're also learning new details tonight about homecoming services for several members of the Coleman family. They were tragically killed this last Thursday. On Friday, we introduced you to Tia Coleman, a mother of 3, who wanted to speak with us about surviving the boat accident. Sadly, Tia's husband and her 3 children with him, they did not make it. A public visitation service will be held for those folks from 9 to noon this upcoming Friday at the Grace Apostolic Church in Indianapolis. Services for the other 5 Colemans who died on Thursday have not yet been announced. If you'd like to donate to the Coleman family, there are 2 separate GoFundMe accounts that have been started now. On one account, they've raised over $50,000. There, you see it on your screen. On the other page, look at this. They've raised more than $400,000 from people all over the country. We can also confirm tonight that Tia, who you met on Friday with us, is the last remaining patient being treated now at Cox Hospital. But here's the good news. She's now been upgraded to good condition. She had been in critical, expected now to make a full recovery. We're also learning new details here at 9 about some of the other victims in this unthinkable tragedy. Father and son Steve and Lance Smith, ages 53 and 15, from Osceola, Arkansas, are among the victims. Steve Smith was a retired teacher and a church deacon.
No finer individuals in Osceola than these 2 young men and this family.
Steve's wife, Pam, you see right there, she did not get on the ride that day of the accident and had to be hospitalized afterward because of the stress of the tragedy. She recalls her final conversation with her husband.
I was away from them and I noticed the weather getting bad, and of course I knew where they were, and so I called, I believe it was like 7, shortly after 7, and just to check on them, and Steve said, I said, "Are you on the lake?" "Yes." And I said, "You know, why?" And he says, "Well, the weather wasn't bad when we left, but it's gotten bad. The waves were giant waves." And he says, "It's not good, Pam." And I told him I loved him. He told me he loved me. And I asked him to take care of the kids. That was our last words.
Pam's daughter Lauren there was on the boat with her father and her brother, but she survived. She even helped someone when the boat started to sink. Lauren suffered a concussion and is now back home with her family. Our CBS affiliate up in St. Louis interviewed friends and family of Rose Haman and William Asher, who were also killed Thursday.
It's just going to be hard over the next couple of months to come to grips with why.
Both Rose and William lived in the St. Louis area, and earlier this week, Rose shared a happy post about celebrating her birthday with William. Friends say the couple was inseparable, traveling, dancing, and just enjoying each other's company. William and Janice Bright from Higginsville, Missouri, were also among the victims killed on the Ride the Ducks accident Thursday. They were 65 and 64 years old. They shared 3 children, and they had been married for 45 years. We're also learning more tonight about the accident in terms of concerns that were growing about the actual boat itself. Steve Paul, a private vehicle inspector from St. Louis, says he knew there were potential design flaws in the Duck boat. Paul said he went to Branson last summer to inspect the Duck boats and said he was concerned that the engine exhaust pipe was at the front of the boat, not at the rear, where it would be behind the passengers.
There's water coming up into the exhaust, and what's going to happen is the engine's going to seize up from having water in it, and then no propulsion, the boat's not going to move, as well as the the bilge pump, which pumps water out of the hull of the boat, is not going to be functioning because the engine's not running.
Paul also took issue with the canopy over the passengers. He called that a people trapper. He hopes now that new standards will be created for amphibious vehicles in light of this tragedy here in the Ozarks. We can also tell you, folks, tonight that coming up tomorrow morning, the U.S. Coast Guard plans to raise the duck boat from the bottom of Table Rock Lake. It is about 80 feet down right now. Of course, that black box with the video has been salvaged and will now be analyzed in our nation's capital. Still, many questions remain, like concerns about passenger life jackets, the boat being on the water during the storm, and whether or not there could be any criminal charges filed. Of course, KOLR10 News will stay on this very developing story as things happen over the next several days. I want to bring you some more news here at 10. We're putting crime in focus on this Sunday. Dozens of car owners in Springfield will have to buy new tires now after an act of vandalism. Residents at the Briarwood Apartments over on East Bennett awoke to find more than 50 cars with slashed tires in the parking lot this morning. It happened sometime overnight. Some cars had all 4 tires slashed. Some found just 2 had been ripped apart. A suspect is currently in custody, and police are trying to investigate and speak with the victims. 2 car owners who were hit say this will be a hard financial hit for some of the residents.
We both have insurance, gainfully employed in the community, so able to take care of it. You know, really it's not a big deal to us, but it could very easily be a big deal to anybody. So, you know, we're just thankful no one was hurt. A little bit of extra work and time, a few dollars here and there, you know, that's okay.
The amount of damage to the vehicles is high enough to warrant a felony charge in this case. If you have any information, call police at 864-1810. We have much more ahead here on our News at 10. Coming up later, an in-depth interview with Bob Certain regarding the Greene County Commission race. But first, a look at next week's weather. Jamie says it's going to be quiet and dry through Thursday, but we have a small break from the heat to enjoy and another chance for some wet weather on Friday. Details coming up next.